So you have built this email, you have put in all of your images and your text, and you are happy with it. You have fine-tuned it with padding, styling, and all of your hyperlinks as well. So you are ready to start testing it on whether it is going to do what it needs to do. Along this top toolbar, just next to the Save and Continue buttons, you have a preview window. If you click that, then it'll open up a smaller window in front of your email where it will give you an approximate view of how the email is going to look in an inbox. So you can see that the grey bars at the top of all the columns have disappeared. All of your spacing that is the same color is blending perfectly together, so it looks like a cohesive HTML email in someone's inbox. Now on this preview window, you can test the hyperlinks and the buttons to make sure that they work. So if we click that one, it opens up the Office Friendly website just like we set it to. So that's fantastic. We've tested that that works. And if I click here, then it'll automatically try and open an email for me as well. So if I've looked at this and I am happy with the way that it looks, along this top corner, I can also check how it's going to look on different platforms. So at the moment, we're viewing how it's going to look on a desktop computer or a laptop, but you can also change it to view how it would appear on a tablet, like an iPad, both the landscape and portrait. And I can see that it's still looking pretty good. You can even look at how it's going to look on a mobile. So again, if you can see by your reporting function that a large majority of your contacts are viewing your emails on a mobile phone, then it might be worth just looking at how your email is going to look when it does appear on a smartphone. So you can see that because of the smaller size of the screen, some of the images are moved around and it doesn't look quite as clean. But because the large majority of our customers do view us on Outlook or Gmail, then we usually go with the desktop view. But it is worth looking at how it's going to look on those other platforms. If you have put in dynamic content, then there will be a button here where you can view and preview the email in those different dynamic content. So you can view all of the different versions of that email that you have created. So you've checked the preview and you're happy with the way that it looks. And the next step is to test send it to an inbox so you can see how it actually appears in Outlook, Gmail, etc. You can send a test send from here. If you press this button up here, it will open this little window where you can select the contact from your test address book and it will send a version. In the inbox, it will appear with the word test in front of the subject line so that you know that this is still in draft form. You can either send this to yourself to check for your own peace of mind how it looks in an inbox, or you can send it to colleagues or management to get their approval on the email. It is always good to send it to someone else other than yourself because a fresh pair of eyes can always be better when you are proofreading. So this is not only to check whether the hyperlinks and stuff work, but it is also really useful in checking the copy and that the images are all loading as well. So you can send a test send using that button there, but what I would advise is to, at this point, click Save and Continue, and that will take you through to what is called the plain text version. Now, you'll remember that when we started building the email, it was a completely blank email apart from the unsubscribe link, and that was the last version that the plain text version had as well, completely blank apart from that unsubscribe link. Now, what the plain text version is we've just made a very pretty HTML email with lots of colors and formatting. However, not every email platform can receive this, and so there is also a plain text version, which is literally just the words and just the hyperlinks from within that email displayed as text. Now, it's important to have a plain text version when you're creating a HTML email because certain email platforms, they want to make sure that the HTML, so the images and the colors and the links, match what is in the plain text version. If it doesn't match, so for example, if you don't update this plain text version, if it doesn't match, some email providers can mark you as spam, or at least adds to your spam score. However, what you can do, if you simply click on this last button on this row, generate plain text version, and then click OK, saying that you want to overwrite the current version, then you'll see that just the text and just the hyperlinks from the HTML email have appeared in this box. Not quite as glamorous as the email that we have built, However, it is useful in order to get your email into as many inboxes as possible. So once you've generated that plain text version, you can click Save and Continue on this right hand side again, and it gives you another option to test send. Now this is the test send that I use mainly because you have now reset that plain text version. Your HTML and your plain text match each other. So if you click Choose Contacts here, you've got that option again to send that test send to your test address book, and you can either send the HTML version, the plain text version, or both to your test copy. So again, send it to yourself to check, send it to a colleague or a manager to check through, and as soon as they have approved it, then you can continue. However, at this point you are still in draft, and so if there are amendments or you do spot a spelling error, then up here on the 5 steps where it says create content test, we're currently on test. If you click content, it will take you back to the email builder so that you can make any of those amendments that you need to, any spelling mistakes, any links to correct, and things like that. Once you have made them, you can save and continue again. Update that plain text version if you have made any amendments, just to make sure, and then click Save and Continue. If you'd like, you can continue to send test copies until everyone is absolutely happy with it. But once you are ready, click Continue, and it will take you through to the contact and scheduling screen. Now, we only have one address book at the moment, and that's test contacts. That's got 3 people in it. So if I select that, but depending on how many address books you've got, you can select all of them, or you can select very specific ones. Step 2, you choose when you'd like to send the campaign. You can select immediately, or you can schedule it. I always advise scheduling it because it means that you've still got a little bit of breathing time to make any final amendments in case anyone does come back with any more. And you can choose specifically when people are going to get your email. Depending on different industries and different jobs and things like that, people open emails at different times. For example, if you're going to be emailing a school or people working in the education sector, I usually send those emails on a Tuesday or a Thursday before 8:30 in the morning. Whilst it can seem early to the standard office worker, many teachers by 9 o'clock will be teaching and so will not see their email for the rest of the day. So if you select early in the morning, then there is a more likely chance that they're going to see it. However, if you are emailing a standard business that is working office hours of 9 till 5, then there are a couple of different times that work best. Either 10 in the morning on a Tuesday or Wednesday, or we have seen some success recently in sending emails at around 3:30, 4 o'clock on a Wednesday or a Thursday. By this time, people are more likely to actually sit and read their emails, whereas earlier in the morning, people are still getting into the flow of work, or they are in the middle of a very concentrated period, so they're not going to give your email the full attention that it needs. Now, because we did a split test on this email, we can choose the percentage of contacts that we'd like to split it. So, for example, if we were sending it to 100 people, then we could set 10% at getting the split test option, and then how many hours would you like to wait for the response? So, like I say, 10 people will get one version, 10 people will get another, and then we can see, so we can set it to in 1 hour after our scheduled time, how many people have seen both of those versions, and the winner will be the version that goes out to the rest of the contacts. And you can either do this by opens or by clicks. I would always go by opens, especially if you have done the split test on the subject line. And in step 4, you can choose to remail the campaign. What this means is if you know that maybe people aren't going to immediately see the email, or you want to make sure that all of the non-openers have another chance of getting that email, but you don't want to send it to the exact same address book and risk some people getting the email twice, you can select remail. So, for example, if we were setting this to go out, let's say tomorrow at 12 o'clock, then we can say, well, maybe Friday at 12 o'clock, people may have already stopped looking at their emails, or they may just miss it. So what we can do, we can set that for in 3 days' time, So on Monday at 12 o'clock, anyone who hasn't already opened that email will get it again. You can also change the subject line as well. So don't miss our video demonstration. This way they're getting the same email. You can't change any of the content within the email. However, you can change the subject line, and that may increase the open rate further by having just those who hadn't opened it in the first place get it again, potentially with a different subject line. So once you've selected who it's going to, when it's going, and the manner in which it's going, if you scroll back up to the top and you can click Save and Continue. Now, because I've selected all the address books, it's just giving me a prompt asking me that I am sure that I want to do that, and I am, so I'm going to click Continue. And that will take you through to the final summary page before the email is sent. Now, this gives you a breakdown of everything. It gives you the campaign details from the start, so the friendly from name, the subject line, and the forwarding address. It gives you some HTML content information, like how many words is in it and how big the image size is in. Now, it says here that they recommend no more than 100 kilobytes of images, but that is actually a very tiny amount. So if you think that we only put 2 pictures in our campaign, and that's 206 kilobytes, I usually ignore this 100 kilobytes, and as long as the campaign is under 1000, then the campaign usually has no problem getting through to somebody's inbox. So if you use 1000 as a guide instead of 100, that should be fine. Even in the plain text version, it gives you the number of hyperlinks and the number of words. And it says that we haven't sent any test sends. Obviously, once we have, it would show you those number of test sends so that you can just know that people have read it, people have confirmed this, and you and anybody else is happy for this to go out. Down here, you'll see a little thumbnail of the campaign, which does give you one last chance to click on that, and it will open the preview window one last time so that you can double check everything is going to be okay. Once you're happy with that, and you're happy with all of these details, you can click Confirm Scheduled Campaign. Again, it will give you a last little prompt saying when it's going to send, so tomorrow, the 7th of July at noon, and you click Confirm, and that's it, your email has been scheduled. If you then click on Campaigns on this top menu, it will take you to your list of campaigns. So at the moment we've got none that haven't been sent. We've also sent 0 at the moment. But in the outbox, there is that one waiting to go out tomorrow at noon. You can preview it, and you can view that same summary information. And you can pause the campaign as well. So if you've scheduled it and you do realise there are further amendments, you can click that purple button and stop it, and it will send that back into the unsent folder so you can make any amendments. Or from this window, you can simply change the time and the scheduling time that it's going to go out. But if you do want to make further changes, you will have to stop it and make those changes and reschedule it. But at the moment, that is scheduled to go out just fine.